book. It's called Putting Your Passion into Print. And I'll have a link to it on the transcript for this video once that is up. And y'all can go buy it on Amazon or whatever you want to do. It covers everything really. It's actually so in depth that I'd end up going online and doing research because I don't feel like flipping through the book. Okay, so that was point 1 of writing marketing copy. Number 2 of writing marketing copy is I also online in this blog which talked about writing a novel as a snowflake, or the Snowflake Method, meaning that the closer you look at the snowflake, the more detailed is revealed. So basically you go to the website, and I'll provide you guys with the link, and it shows you a triangle, and then that triangle splits into more parts, and then more parts and more parts, and eventually it's got all these edges that are very intricate, like a snowflake would be if it was in a two-dimensional snowflake. So that basically just says the more you take an object and zoom in and get closer, kind of like a fractal, you're just going to keep getting more and more detail, and it's going to get more and more complex. So basically, since I already have mostly completed my book, I guess I was working in a reverse snowflake method, which means I had a lot of the complete overall overarching themes, characters, places, and all that. So now I have to break each of those down and make that something simple. So like make it a triangle-ish thing, I guess, so that anybody who reads that will instantly know what's going on and won't need all the extra detail until they read the book. So that is a very useful method. If you're interested, you can Google it right now. It's the Snowflake Method, and you'll see several articles on it. And if you learn a lot about it and want to correct some of my opinions, feel free to let us know at thestoryofmichael.com. Just go on the blog and leave us a comment. All right, and so let's move on to 3, writing marketing copy for your novel. Point 3. I went to the bookstore. This was also something recommended to do by a lot of people, not just authors, but just, well, why don't you just go see what other books do? And that's a great idea. So I went and I grabbed several different types of books, looked inside the cover and the back of the cover. The types of books I grabbed were fantasy, teen fiction, classic fiction, historical fiction, basically anything that I could see being a genre to the book I'm writing. Also, I made sure to grab some really mainstream books like Twilight and Harry Potter, as well as some very niche books that I don't even remember the names of. But yeah, so go grab a bunch of books and just be smart about it and pick out what you want. And I didn't have to buy any because I just read them in the store, and I feel like such a dumbass because I'm just such a bum. I go in there and I read and I don't buy anything. I should have at least got a coffee or something, but I don't, people do that all the time, right? So basically this covers the broad mainstream book readers as well as the niche readers. I took notes as someone who would potentially be buying the book. So my point of view when I wrote down my notes was to see how, if I was just going to come and buy all of these books, which ones sold me and why. Go through each paragraph of the inside cover and the back of the cover and see if you can break it down to what you think are good elements and bad elements. And you will also notice some things that I have not mentioned, and it'll just be good for you. So just spend some time there reading different things. Excuse me. So those are the 3 points. I will have the transcript up online for you by tomorrow or Friday. So please feel free to come back and grab it and share it with your friends. That would help me out a lot. And so let's move on. So I know I have spent a lot of time on copy, but think about it. You're writing about your writing. It's exactly your style. It is what people will like and dislike your book at first glance. More importantly, it's what sells your book. To the reader, if your copy sucks, your book sucks. So if you go and you're reading in Barnes & Noble and you go read the inside flap and someone was thinking, I should buy this book, and everything inside of it's really confusing, or maybe they thought they've heard this story 1,000 times, or it could be a million things, and they just think, I don't know. But then there's also a book that you could pick up that you've seen a million books the same way, but you see this one and the way the copy's written makes it sound like it's something new, even though it's something completely old and trashy. That's good copy, and that's what you need to try to be like. So basically, in the past few days of Phase 4, I've been breaking down my book per chapter. In order to build an effective copy, means I have to deconstruct my book paragraph by paragraph and summarizing each one as its own sentence. I'll explain more as I go, so stick with me here. I now have an outline of the book that has my book in paragraph form, which is each chapter summarized in 4 or 5 sentences. Also, I have it broken into 1-sentence summaries per chapter. All of this is to see what my brain chooses to represent as a whole chapter in one single paragraph or one single sentence. Basically, okay, that's a lot to take in. So there's like a chapter, right? Those have different paragraphs, sections maybe. I just sit here and I'm trying to think how I can summarize this chapter. Okay, maybe it's 2,400 words long. How can I write that in 4 sentences and cover each of the main, most important points? In doing this, you subconsciously are picking the most crucial elements from the chapter without even having to read it very carefully. So this is something I did and I think is very valuable to you, and you could even do it 3 or 4 times, breaking down each chapter into 3 or 4 sentences, and then doing it again as breaking down each chapter into 1 sentence. I did it once, and I think that I probably need to do it again. There's so great. I learned a lot. Basically, you can kind of see where there's fragments of story missing, and where you need to go back and fill those blanks in to enhance your novel. I also learned that I'm shy of being of my word count by a few thousand, so I know I have some sections to expand. So before I move on, I'm gonna give you a few hints about what I'm going to be doing next, and that will be so once I've broken all these down, I'm going to take each sentence and try reconstructing it in different ways, so that way I don't have to peel apart the whole book. I can just take apart these 1 sentences that represent a chapter or a paragraph of a chapter and stick those in different spots and see if they work better. I'm not destroying the story, I'm restructuring it so that it reads more fluidly and the plot is accomplished. Sorry about that. That was I guess I got passionate there. Alright, so this has been a pretty big challenge of mine. It's kind of hard to do, but once you get in the groove and get going on it, it's not too bad. So like any author, I've been putting off the whole part where I actually send out my book for review. This is because I'm not quite ready to share it with the world. So what I've done, but have not completely implemented yet, was a way to watermark my manuscript so I can send it out with a big copyright logo in the background of the manuscript. So if you're trying to send out a manuscript or a document of any kind that's your art, there's a way to put a watermark on there that says copyright, and that will deter people from stealing your crap. I'm sorry, not crap, your ideas. Like mine. They're just ideas. Alright, so and to do this, I used OpenOffice. Many of you may have heard of OpenOffice. It's the alternative free version of Microsoft Word that is what do they call it? An open source software that anybody can use. And actually a lot of schools in the States use OpenOffice predominantly. And so you can go to get that at openoffice.org or just Google it, you'll find it. in OpenOffice, in your Documents open, go to the top title bar, Format menu. Under that, go to Page, go to Background. There will be a tab, go to Background. Then set as Graphic, select your file, then select Area, and then press OK. And your whole document will be covered with whatever copyright image you're using. The way this assumes that you know how to make a copyright image in some type of image editor, text editor, or whatever. You can have I have one going diagonally across the page. So if you can make something that's close to 8.5 by 11, which is standard letter width of paper. So this is 8.5 by 11. Basically, the copyright goes from here to here, and that's what I used to add watermark. It took me a while to figure that out, so I'm sharing it with you, and you can come back and see the transcript, and it'll be a better tutorial on how to do it maybe later on. Anyway, that worked well for me, so then I saved it to a PDF, and I'm prepared to send it out to a select group of people. I also put together a specific questionnaire for them to answer when they have completed the manuscript, so that way I can get specific information that I need to keep moving along with my book and to complete it even further. It's going to be specific information that I need, not necessarily what they're thinking, because people, if they aren't given directions, will usually answer things in an inappropriate manner to not give you what you need. So it's helpful if you can direct people that are reading your book to give you what you need an answer for. Although you may want to have somebody read it unbiasedly, but I know for people that I'm going to be asking to read it, they are very busy, and asking too much of them will just mean it will never get done. So I'm trying to help out as much as possible while getting something in return. So you are probably wondering if you will be getting a copy of this manuscript. What I've decided to do for that is to send out the prologue to my book to anyone that has a genuine interest in writing a full review about it. So if you feel like this is something you want to spend time doing, I want serious criticism and I want in-depth reviews from fellow creatives, writers, and artists to give me their feedback as someone who likes to read and also as a fellow writer. So if that's you, here's the directions to getting one. When I send it out, you'll be agreeing to not share it or talk about it with anyone. Also, there will be a legal writing in the email that you will agree that says basically it's a non-disclosure agreement that says you can't share it or talk about the information with anybody except me. And it also just says that the property and the attachment is mine, so if you use it against my, you will be under penalty of law. The following text, okay, so let me read this. If you're interested in reading the prologue and perhaps more at a later time, then send me an email with the following text inside of it, and you'll have to come back and probably get this straight from the transcript that I put on the website, but it should say, I, recipient, which is you, agree to not share any of the information about the story of Michael to anyone unless it's permitted by its creator, David Blaine. Also, all content, I agree, are property of David Blaine, and I understand that breaking this agreement will have legal consequences. I will be sending them out in the near future, and so please let me know if you are interested. All right, so let's get to questions. All right. Okay, so let's go back and I'm going to read some of these questions in the chat. So thankfully the chat works this time. Okay, so it's called the Snowflake Method. The Snowflake Method is a form of creative writing that you can find and use for writing your novel. So just Google the Snowflake Method. Here, I'll type it in here. The Snowflake Method. All right.